Direct News TV. January 9, 2024. Israel's war on Gaza, dozens of dead, wounded brought to Al-Aqsa Hospital. Gaza's health ministry says 126 Palestinians were killed in Israeli attacks on Tuesday, the 95th day of the war. 3 Hezbollah members were killed in an airstrike on their vehicle in the southern town of Gandouriya, and another person was killed in an Israeli attack on the funeral of a senior commander who was attacked on Monday. Cameron's comments on Israeli war violations, timid. While UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron said on Tuesday that he was concerned that Israel may have breached international law in Gaza, Al Jazeera senior political analyst Marwan Bishara said that the comments were quite timid when weighed against the information available about Israel's campaign in Gaza. It's kind of tiring and sad to hear the British officials continuing to play at the margins of America's position on this issue, on the genocide that's unraveling in plain sight. You can see it on British television and American television, there is no secret, said Bishara. For example, collective punishment, he added. When you deny a population food, fuel, electricity, medicine, etc. That's a violation of international law, it's straightforward. And the Israelis declared it from day one. Israel approved some 700 units in the occupied East Jerusalem settlement. The Israeli government published its approval of the Givat Sheikh settlement plan for 695 housing units on lands in the Palestinian neighborhood of Beit Safafa, says Ir Amim, an Israeli non-profit that focuses on Jerusalem. This joins a spate of settlement advancements in East Jerusalem since October 7, including several plan approvals and publication of tenders, it said in a statement. Republicans want to criminalize road closures used to demand Gaza ceasefire. Republican senators want to make nonviolent civil disobedience a federal crime because it is being used to call for an end to Israel's war in Gaza. Senators Tom Tillis and Marsha Blackburn from North Carolina and Tennessee respectively introduced the Safe and Open Streets Act, legislation that would make it a federal crime to purposely obstruct, delay, or affect commerce by blocking a public road or highway, they said in a joint statement. The senators said this comes in direct response to radical tactics of pro-Palestine protesters who have intentionally blocked roads and highways across the country. In November, protesters demanding a ceasefire in Gaza blocked the Durham Freeway in North Carolina during rush hour. Late last month, demonstrators blocked airport access roads in New York City and Los Angeles. PA, Egypt and Jordan to meet in Aqaba to discuss Gaza Strip. A tripartite summit will be held in the Jordanian city of Aqaba, bringing Egypt's Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, and Jordanian King Abdullah II. The summit will discuss ways to stop the war in the Gaza Strip, provide relief to the residents, and the political horizon required for the post-war period. Abbas is scheduled to meet U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Ramallah, before heading to Aqaba to participate in the meeting. Israeli Defense Minister tells Blinken pressure on Iran, critical, to avoid escalation. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has told Antony Blinken that exerting pressure on Iran is critical to efforts to prevent further regional escalation, after a series of provocative Israeli strikes in neighboring Lebanon. An increase in the pressure placed on Iran is critical and may prevent regional escalation in additional arenas, Gallant was quoted as saying in a government statement. U.S. explains its veto for ceasefire resolution in UN General Assembly meeting on Gaza Strip. As the United Nations is warning that Israel's bombardment of central Gaza is severely hampering the distribution of much-needed humanitarian aid, the UN General Assembly is currently in session to discuss the situation in the Gaza Strip and the U.S. use of its veto power in the Security Council. Last month, the U.S. vetoed a resolution on Gaza calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. As Al Jazeera's diplomatic correspondent James Bays explains, a General Assembly meeting has to take place every time a veto is used in the Security Council to explain why it was used in the first place. The U.S. representative, Deputy Ambassador Robert Wood, explained the use of the veto, blaming Hamas for starting the war. We hear very few demands of the initiator of this conflict, Hamas, to stop hiding behind civilians, lay down its arms, and surrender, Wood said. This would have been over if Hamas's leaders had done that. The Israeli ambassador spoke after him and also talked about the crimes of Hamas, Bays said, speaking from the UN headquarters in New York. The Palestinian ambassador made it clear that everyone should be holding a ceasefire now poster, and he held one up in the General Assembly, he added. There has been overwhelming support for the Palestinian position at the UN, leaving the US in the often lonely position of backing Israel. If you're just joining us, it's 6 p.m., 1600 hours Greenwich Mean Time, in the occupied Palestinian territories and Israel. Here are the most recent developments. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, on a trip to the region, told Netanyahu to avoid further civilian harm in Gaza. The Israeli army said dozens more soldiers were recently injured in Gaza fighting. Najib Mikati, Prime Minister of Lebanon, said his country is ready for talks on long-term border stability with Israel. Defense for Children International said at least 8,000 Palestinian children were killed in the Gaza Strip and 121 in the occupied West Bank and Jerusalem in 2023, calling it the year of genocide committed by Israeli forces. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.